The powerful and the abuses of power. Arrogant exercise of power over persons and nations. Revelations from Jesus Christ, from 1884 to 1950. The fleeting delirium of power and earthly greatness. Thus saith the Lord. It is I who places the trials in your path to restrain your spirit when it distances itself from the path of my law, to live subject only to its free will. Examine the trials carefully. I permit it of you, that you may prove to yourselves that each of them is like a chisel that shapes your heart. That is one reason why pain brings you closer to me. Man has always sought pleasures, and has always pursued the power and greatness to make himself lord on earth and king over his own brothers. If I have always created all of you with the same love, why have there always been those who attempted to be superior to others? Why have there always been those who drive humanity by humiliation and the whip? Why are there those who repudiate the humble, and whose hearts are not moved by the suffering they inflict on their fellow men? It is because these are spirits that have not yet recognized me as only owner of all that exists, the Father who loves all his creatures. That is why there are men who do not recognize and who usurp the sacred rights of men. They act as my instruments of justice, and believing themselves lords and kings, are only servants. Forgive them. Behold the monarchs and the lords of the earth. How brief is their reign and their glory. Today they are raised up by their people, and tomorrow are thrown from their thrones. Do not, any of you, seek your thrones in this life, for believing yourselves to advance, you shall be halted, and your destiny is to go forward without stopping until you come to the gates of my kingdom. I tell you truly, that the day of those now powerful shall end, to give way to those who are great, strong, powerful, and wise through the love and charity they hold for their fellow men. Those men who today feed only on ambitions of power and earthly greatness know that their most powerful enemy is spirituality. That is why they fight it, and when they anticipate the struggle that now grows close, that of the spirits against evil, they fear to lose their possessions, and therefore resist the light that surprises them at every step in the form of inspirations. How needy are those who arrive at my celestial door, having been great and powerful on earth. For they had forgotten the spiritual gems and the road of eternal life. While the truth of my kingdom is revealed to the humble, it is hidden from the wise and educated. For they would do with spiritual wisdom what they have done with material science, which is to seek, in that light, thrones for their vanity and weapons for their wars. The arrogant exercise of power over persons and nations. Behold those men who lead peoples, creating doctrines and imposing them on men, each preaching the superiority of his own doctrine. Yet I ask, what has been the fruit of all of them? War, with its accompanying misery, suffering, death, and destruction. That has been the harvest that the apostles of such theories have gathered on earth. Behold that I have not counteracted humanity's free will, though I can tell you that the conscience above it speaks unceasingly to the heart that departs from justice, charity, or reason. If Christ were to return as man in this time, he would not again say as on Calvary, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." For you now receive the full light of the conscience, and your spirits have evolved much. Who does not know that I am the giver of life, and that therefore none may take that of their brother? As man cannot give existence, neither is he authorized to take what he cannot repay. Humanity, do you believe you are complying with my law because you say you have religion and comply with the outward forms of worship? In the law you were told, "Thou shalt not kill." You profane this commandment, spilling in torrents the blood of your brothers upon the altar of your sin. I propose peace to the world, but the arrogance of nations puffed up in their false power and false splendor rejects the call of conscience, allowing them to be dragged about by their ambitions and their hatreds. Man does not yet incline toward the good, toward justice, and toward reason. Men still rise up to judge the causes of their fellows. They still believe they can do justice. Do you not believe that instead of judges, they should be called executioners and assassins? The men of power have forgotten that there exists an owner of all lives, and they take the lives of their fellows as though they were their property. The multitudes clamor for bread, justice, a home, and clothing. I shall do justice, not men, nor their doctrines. Blessed people, these men who arise full of greatness and prominence among the nations and peoples of the earth are great spirits invested with power and bearers of great missions. They are not in service to my divinity. They have not placed their greatness or their gifts in the service of love and charity. They have formed their world, their law, their throne, their vassals, their dominions, and all that they might desire. Yet, when they feel their thrones tremble amidst the trials, when they feel the invasion of a powerful enemy near, or when they see their wealth or their names in danger, they rise up with all their strength, full of false greatness, earthly vanity, hatred, and ill will, and launch themselves at their enemy, giving no thought that their works or their ideas leave behind only the tracks of pain, destruction, and evil. They seek only the destruction of the enemy and the erection of a greater throne that gives them greater dominion over the peoples and their riches, over the daily sustenance and the very lives of men. It is already no longer the time when kingdoms should exist on earth, or that strong peoples humiliate the weak. Nonetheless, they exist as proof that in man the primitive tendency to take by force from the weak and conquer by means of violence still prevail. How far men are from understanding the spiritual peace that shall reign in the world. They attempt to impose it through force and threats, which are the fruit of the science they boast of. It is not that I come to disown or to oppose the advances of humanity, for they are also a proof of spiritual evolution, but I do warn you that your boasts of earthly strength and power are not pleasing to me, because by them, instead of lightening the cross of humanity, you outrage the most sacred principles, attempt against lives that do not belong to you, and sow pain, tears, mourning, and blood, instead of peace, health, and well-being. Why, given that the source from which you take your science, which is my own creation, and is an inexhaustible well of love, wisdom, health, and life, do your works manifest the opposite? As I said in the second era, I wish equality to reign among my peoples, but not as conceived of by materialized men. I inspire the equality of love, making you understand that all of you are brothers, the children of God.